Amir, like without further ado, maybe just introduce yourself.
Sure, I'll make it very short. Amir Orad, Kraken chief exec. I'm born here in Israel, last 21 years in New York, and back and forth a lot when the flights allow us to fly. Been the founder of a company called Sayota, which all of you know because Bennett was my partner. Then CEO of Actimize, CEO of Sisense, and CEO of Kraken as of a year ago. That's my very short version. 3 kids, 2 degrees, and 2 passports, I guess, these days, with all the travel.
So I think it's a good opportunity to thank you for choosing your Israeli passport and hopping on stage in a relatively short notice. So as you can imagine.
But this is the only conference ever I come dressed like this, and this guy's dressed in a suit. So I didn't get the memo.
In other countries, this is considered an insult. So you just mentioned a super prolonged career as a successful CEO in finance, in banking, in different sectors. And what made you cross the chasm and join the notoriously known energy sector?
So I don't see it as crossing the chasm. I spent 10 years, 9 years in every company I ran, and all of them were B2B, data-driven, mission-critical systems, be it for cybersecurity or risk management or catching fraud and bad guys on the internet. And after the last one, I took a few months off, and I thought what I want to do next. And the big, clear decision was I want to do something that makes my kids proud. Period, end of story. Which is, by the way, I have 3 teenagers. I had a year ago 3 teenagers. Now one is over a teen. But it's impossible to make your 3 kids proud in general. But given that very small set of options, I met this company called Kraken, which I did not hear about before, and find out it actually makes the world greener and the energy transition better. And for those who don't know, I'll tell you about Kraken in a minute. And I got excited, because not every day you can make something that makes the sky, better and the air your kids breathe more clean if you help the energy transition. And I decided to jump in and found out there's a lot of similarities to banking and other industries, and also a lot of unique differences also.
So maybe a brief introduction. So I lived in Australia for 1 year, and there is a famous retailer, Origin Energy. And I think one of the biggest investments ever was into a small company called Octopus, very famous retailer and utility in the UK that now working worldwide. And they had this small operation called Kraken, okay? And I'm not sure many people heard of neither of Octopus nor on Kraken here on this stage. And we hope you'll come not only work from Tel Aviv sometimes, but also make sure that Kraken will come sooner than later to Tel Aviv. But can you tell us a little bit what Kraken is? Because I heard a rumor it's the next decacorn in energy tech.
So first I brought a Kraken. This is a Kraken, this little sea animal. And I think we have a couple of slides. Let's see if they actually work. Okay, so before I do that, a decade ago, 3 founders met and decided to do something crazy, which is to build technology for energy companies. All the energy companies told them they're stupid and wasting their time, no one will buy from a startup. So they said, we'll show you, and we decided to build their own energy company in the UK, named Octopus Energy, which has a big pink octopus logo, if you've ever seen it. But we had a problem. All the innovation, all the dreams, all the new ways of servicing clients we had in mind was not possible with the technology of the time. So they did what Amazon did back in the time. They built their own technology. Octopus today, it's over 10 years, is the largest energy company in the UK, the largest, bigger than British Gas. It is one of the top 5 in Italy, top 5 in France, top 5 in Germany, top 5 in Spain, and growing. The technology they built became so valuable that competitors of Octopus came over and said, we need help, will you let us run our energy company on the same technology? And they said yes. And that's when Kraken was born. So Octopus, Kraken, both are sea animals. And Kraken became the operating system for a small company called E.ON, EDF, Octopus. We have a bunch of those. Maybe aim that way. Aim that way. So Kraken became this is Wall Street Journal this week. I think they called us the $10 billion startup that thinks it's an energy company. That's the Octopus Energy Artificial Intelligence Platform, Kraken. In a nutshell, Kraken is the operating system for a modern energy utility, also other utilities, from retail to CNI to generation, for managing CIS, the actual billing, pricing, tariffs, collections, risk management, to CRM, call center, sales, marketing, catalog, lead generation, all the way to asset management, field management, battery, grid level assets, residential assets. And by some numbers, we have today on the platform, so Kraken itself is only 6 years old. Kraken has 70 million meters on the platform. Kraken has assets we're managing, EVs, solar panels, and the like, 500,000 assets, which makes it the largest VPP in the world, almost 2 gigawatts of power that we manage when you charge your car and other assets. We process 10 billion data points a day, all in the cloud, and we update the technology. There's a new version every 10 minutes. That is in kind of big picture Kraken. You see some of the clients, Origin, Maingau in Germany, Plenitude all over Europe, EDF, Good, and there's many more. But that is the short version of kind of what Kraken came to be. It's a startup that is still owned by this energy company, 2,000 employees, very global, growing extremely fast. And we just announced last week National Grid as the last client joining Kraken. So that's us.
A very small yet humble utility spin-off that turned to...
that's yours.
I'm a proud owner of one of those. I'll give it to one of the people. But I'm following you guys for a long time. That's quite exciting. So I wanted to ask you actually what was the coolest feature that like a proud dad you cannot really choose out of the 10 features or 20 features that you are doing. But can you give like a concrete example to the audience here how AI creates like a very tangible use case, specific one that you see that your customers getting value, and can you add also dollar tag to it?
What's the second question?
If you can add like dollar value of what's the benefit?
Sure. So maybe the best example for AI and machine learning is when we manage residential assets, mainly EVs, but not only, and control the charging time of those assets. The naive way to do it is to say, everyone come home, charge the car at 7 p.m., so we'll move them to midnight or 1 a.m. It doesn't do shit. There's just a spike moving from 7 to midnight or 1 a.m. It doesn't work. If you really want to do it well, you have to take into account each individual car preferences, the battery reality, but also spot prices, grid level batteries, focus for tomorrow's demand and supply, the cost of those streams, trading opportunities, and optimize all of the above. But if you do it well, something magical happens. The individual with at home with the car gets a lower cost electricity and cleaner energy for their car. Great. The utility actually makes money, not because, even though they give him discount, they trade the arbitrage because they control supply and demand. And climate gets better because we now can tap into renewable sources of energy stored in batteries and elsewhere versus not. So it's one of those very few examples, everyone make money, everyone are happier, everyone are better off than before, purely using a lot of machine learning and AI to optimize many, many variables at the same time. It's a really complex problem to solve. It's solvable.
So I promised Cody 10 questions in 10 minutes. I'm going to make the next one very short and sweet. You've built something amazing. And let's be honest, here in Israel, we love software. But in energy tech, it's not always, mostly not always software. Is there any way that startups can either get inspiration from you or even work with you?
Yeah, so Kraken built an entire set of APIs and now a marketplace. Because if you think about it, the two things that suck when you work with an energy company is number one, selling to an energy company. It's impossible between process, regulations, compliance, etc. And number two, integration and access to data. The two biggest barriers. Luckily, we have both. So we've built hundreds of APIs on top of those data sets. And now we're making available soon a marketplace where select startups, not everyone on day one, that have the right algorithmic solutions or very specific niche solutions can sit on top and both save the need to sell separately, the need to sell separately, and the need to integrate separately. It will all be done with modern APIs on dbt, Databricks, and GraphQL. So the most modern technology without all the BS of trying to work with each and every energy company separately. So if it's of interest, shoot an email to marketplace@kraken.tech.com, marketplace@kraken.tech. But wait for tomorrow, because I promise the team will open the email tonight, and then we can share more. Or just shoot me a note on LinkedIn.
And guys, it's a huge shout out, like a real opportunity to work with Kraken. And it's doable, it's feasible. If utilities build Kraken, then startups can definitely work with Kraken and do more. Maybe then a follow-on question, an advice for the Israeli entrepreneur that's trying to find his path in the global energy market?
The folks that I'm working with, which are CEOs, C-levels, all the way to the VPs in those companies, care about reliability, affordability. Innovation is not a goal. It's a means to an end. If you can come in and show real impact on either reliability or affordability, then you're in the room. The next stage is integration pain. If you can solve that, it's interesting. If you just come with some new cool shit, no one cares about it. We have too many rules, too much compliance, too many challenges to have the headspace for innovation's sake. It must solve a real problem and show a real ROI. And it's really hard to do. But once you have it, it's interesting.
So I have so many questions, and I feel we can have this conversation
minus 2 minutes
for another hour. But I think, especially, I would love to ask you in the future, not now. Where do you see Kraken and the energy sector in 5 years from now, and moreover, how we can build another 10 Krakens here from Israel? For some reason, I have the inner gut feeling that we can do some stuff together, and I advise all of you to track this amazing company and a completely different success story in energy.
It's a British company headquartered in London. I happen to have the right passport to be in this room, I guess, but we don't yet have any customer in Israel, nor do we have one employee in Israel. But if there's a cool opportunity, we have acquired 6 companies to date, so that's interesting, and always looking to grow the platform.
Amir, thank you so much for finding the time and joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.